Welcome, welcome, everybody. All right. So, how's everybody doing? We are live, YouTube live. I got my favorite jug of water, Health Coach Institute, repping the school. Okay, so how's everybody doing? So, the past 2 weeks, we've been talking about self-care, self-love in how it helps our gut and how it helps our whole body. So I'm just curious how everybody's doing with that. It's different for everybody, like we talked about. So your self-care is going to be different than my self-care. And I just really invite you guys to explore in that and see, what comes up for you as far as what really makes you happy and what really gets you in that state of relaxation and peace and calm in your body. So welcome. We're on week 3, and today we're talking all about stress. And this is, I feel like, a word that is just so readily used in today's culture. Like I feel like everybody is stressed all the time. You can see it on their face. You can see it in the way they move their body. Like everybody's just kind of like dragging through life in a way. And it's almost, we don't really see how stress affects our body. So, first of all, I invite you all to share, subscribe to my channel, do all those good things. I'm really just wanting to connect with as many people as I can and, share what I have to offer as a coach and, my heart and my passion in health and wealth and all things lifestyle. So, and before I forget, next week, I'm actually going to be going live on Thursday, not on Friday. I will actually be out of town on Friday. So make a note of that. Thursday next week, 11 a.m. Instead of Friday. So let's jump right in. Stress. Stress. What is it even? Like, we use the word all the time, but do we even really know what it means? So stress is really, hold on, let me change something on here. There we go. Stress is really just our body's response to a potentially threatening situation. So really, stress is helping our body because it's, preparing us to be in like the fight or flight state. I know you've heard that before, pretty common terminology there. But our body doesn't know the difference between something really potentially life-threatening and something not so potentially life-threatening. So if we're sitting in traffic, pissed off at the world because we're going to be late for work, our stress response is promoted. And then at another time, like if we're in the woods and we see a bear and we're literally threatened for our life, our stress response kicks on. So since our body can't tell the difference, it's really tricky. It's really tricky to manage. And it can seem like it's a nonstop state because our stresses these days are pretty frequent and pretty, they can seem so little too. So what happens is we have 2 parts of our autonomic nervous system. We have our sympathetic nervous system and a parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is where the stress response is. So that controls and regulates our heartbeat, our breathing, our blood pressure, all those kinds of body responses. So when we get our body into the parasympathetic response, that's the more relaxed, calm, where you can digest easily. And the goal is to stay in that parasympathetic state, right? Like this is why we talk about self-care and self-love and really getting our body in that like Zen mode, you could call it, for all you yogis out there. So when we're in the sympathetic nervous system and our stress response is triggered, we're in fight or flight. So our blood pressure is up, our heart rate is up, our breathing is up. All those kinds of things are in that state of fight or flight. Like we don't know if we should fight or if we should leave, right? That's what that means. So this is where cortisol is released. Cortisol is the hormone, or the stress hormone, and it's really designed to help our bodies get into that state where we can fight or we can flight, and it helps replenish our body from, anything that was lost during that time. So I hope that makes sense. It's kind of a little sciencey, but it's really, really important, because when we have an increase in cortisol and when we're constantly in this fight or flight state, our gut is just in so much distress. And remember how we talked about how the gut and the mind are always connected. There's always a communication line there. So if our brain and our mind is in constant stress, what is that doing to our gut? Right? So our gut is going to be in a constant stress. So if you've ever been in a situation where you're making a decision or you're fighting to make a decision, because and your stomach's going crazy, maybe you have butterflies in your stomach, or you're cramping because you're like, oh my gosh, like what do I do? That's your brain axis in play, and that's your cortisol, working as well. So what happens is when flight or fight is activated in the nervous system, this is where your digestive tract, like I said, it gets heavily impacted. So things that can happen are spasms in your esophagus, and your esophagus, runs all the way down to your stomach. It increases stomach acid, which causes indigestion. So if you've ever had indigestion, this is part of it. Nausea is also a common sign, diarrhea, constipation, all those kinds of things, because when you're stressed, you're tightened up, for one. So everything in your gut is tight, and it's like this. So how can you expect things to move if you're eating something and you're stressed out? How can you expect your food to move in the tract like it's supposed to if everything is all tight and everything is just flooded with like I said, stomach acid and hormones, because you're trying to balance out how you're feeling. Like your body is going like this. Like we talk about the roller coaster, the blood sugar roller coaster, because everything goes up and then everything goes down. So it's quite a process when we're in this stressful state. So some of the things that I was talking about, like the indigestion and, those kinds of they're more subtle kind of symptoms, I guess you could say. They're not like super duper serious in that moment, but the stress response can also impact more serious things going on. So it like decreases your blood flow and oxygen to your brain and to your stomach, which can cause cramping, inflammation, the imbalance of the gut bacteria, which we talked a lot about on day 1. So if you need a little refresher on that, you can go back to day 1. But it also can affect those that have like IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, IBD, irritable bowel disorder, peptic ulcers, GERD. GERD is when you have acid reflux. And my father actually had GERD, and when we went through, he coached with me for a while, which was fantastic. He's 70 years old, amazing man, and he had GERD pretty bad. And with the simple habit changes that we went through in coaching, and changes to his diet, he was able to actually get that under control. So that's super good, right? So even if you don't have any of those diseases, like it doesn't mean that stress is going to cause it, right? But if you already have it, it can make it worse. So to this point, I know that was kind of a lot. So I just want to remind you that you can post any questions in the comments and I'll be sure to answer them. Or if you have something that you want to talk to me about directly, my email is in the description of this video, and I'll make sure it's posted in the description on my channel. But yeah, feel free to reach out to me if you have any kind of personal questions that you maybe don't want to be on a public feed. I am here for you. Like I've said, my mission and my passion is just to get to as many people as I can and help them in their health journey and make sure they live happy, long lives. So, are we ready to keep going? Let's keep going. Because there's a little bit more to this that I think you might find very interesting. So cortisol. We're going to talk about cortisol for a second. Cortisol is that stress hormone. So when we get into the situation that could be potentially threatening and we get stressed, we get in that like frozen state, cortisol is released. And like I said, the body doesn't know the difference. So if our body doesn't know the difference between real life, I'm in danger, I'm going to die kind of stress, and that's not life-threatening, I'm just overworking myself, I'm creating this reality for myself. So if you're sitting and worrying about something, you're not actually fleeing for your life. You're not actually fighting for your life. Your body is still producing a heavy dose of cortisol, especially when you're in this state consistently. So if you're consistently producing cortisol and your body is continually being replenished after a potential fight or a potential flight situation, this is where it gets tricky. Cortisol makes you hungry. This is why people stress eat. And this is why it could lead to weight gain, especially in your stomach. So a lot of times, if you were to go to the doctor and maybe you have like slim arms, slim legs, but you're just like, oh, I can't get rid of this belly fat. This is a target like visual. And in my coach training, actually, they train us of how to like look at a visual person and see where their weight gain, if it's weight, where their stomach, is puffy and, they can't get rid of it no matter what they do. That's generally it equals stress. So weight in your stomach, stubborn weight that you can't get off, equals stress. Hope that makes sense. Because yeah, cortisol, it's one of those tricky things that it's there to help us, but if there's too much of it, it makes us hungry. And then of course, when we're hungry and we're stressed, what are we gonna do? We're gonna go for the quick treats, usually sugary treats, high in carbs, like all of that stuff. So, I have notes here. It almost just flew away. So basically, cortisol release leads to hunger, which leads to potential weight gain because your body is storing visceral fat around your midsection. And then to make it even more complicating, like I said, the fuel, not real fuel, fake fuel, that the muscles need during the fight or flight response is actually sugar. So this is why you crave sugar and you crave carbs when you're stressed. Go freaking figure. I mean, this is why people stress eat, and this is why there's a binge eating, which could be leading to the obesity in America. And I mean, we're constantly stressed. Like I said, if we're parents and we have children, we're constantly thinking about our children, whether they're safe. All the things with, your job, things like that can be stressful. And even day-to-day things like, is this okay? Is that okay? Am I okay? Am I doing everything I need to create happiness and health in my body and in my environment? So it can be a lot. But again, our bodies don't know the difference. They don't know the difference. So back to cortisol and the fuel it needs to move sugar from your bloodstream to your muscles, which is what it needs in your fight or flight. It needs insulin. And high levels of insulin and high levels of sugar, like you're just creating the perfect environment for fat storage. Hope that makes sense. It can be a lot of science, and I really tried to like pick and choose, pinpoint the most important things, because I get a lot of questions about, how can I get rid of this stubborn belly fat, or how can I lose weight? Like, really, the secret to losing weight is stress release. It's trying to get your body into that parasympathetic state so that you can digest happy, so that your blood flows happy, and it's just an all around, like all of this is connected. You'll notice as we go through the next, 7 weeks, I think we have of this series, you'll notice that everything is connected and everything makes a difference. So people who are under this constant stress, the metabolic stress, gain weight because they have a difficulty breaking down food and transforming it into energy. Straight to the point, that's what it means. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments. Reach out to me individually. Again, if you don't want anything on a public feed, I totally get it. And really, when it comes to stress release, again, this is all personal. So we've talked about what stress is. We've talked about how it affects our gut. We've talked about cortisol and why cortisol links to weight gain and not being able to lose weight. Because if you're overly induced with cortisol and you're constantly being replenished after a fight or flight, when really you could just be sitting here worrying, and you're constantly eating because you're trying to, feed into the cortisol, and your body's kind of like going crazy. Like, geez, no wonder everybody is just like not knowing what to do. But once you listen to your body, remember the first week was all about listening to your body and providing your body with the love it deserves. And then the second week was all about what? Self-care, really doing the things that you love and feeding your inner child, so to speak, and really caring for yourself in the way that makes sense for you. So now when it comes to stress, we're kind of combining self-love and self-care and going into how you can really manage stress in a way that, again, that works for you. And this is, sometimes it might be a little trial and error, but once you find what works and you can do that consistently and add it into your daily routine, like, it's a game changer. It is an absolute game changer. So I wrote a few things down for my top ways to relieve stress, and I'm going to share them with you, of course, but know that my top might not be your top. These are really just ways that I'm influencing you to try. So I'm inviting you to try these I have top 5 ways that I manage stress. And I'm actually going to add one more. But anyway, so first thing is exercise. And we're going to dive more into exercise, I believe, next week. Yes, we're going to dive into exercise next week, next Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern time. But exercise is actually the most underrated way of releasing stress. And, people get on medications for stress, for anxiety, depression, when really just exercise. Sweat. Once you sweat, get your heart rate up, like keep your blood clean. Like, exercise is just definitely one of my top ways to manage stress. You literally move through the anxiety, you move through anything that you're feeling at that time that's causing you stress, and it helps a lot. So definitely towards the top is exercise for me. Another way to manage stress, water, staying hydrated. Definitely is an underrated way to manage stress. And if you don't like just plain water, you can add so many things to it to make it taste good without adding a bunch of sugar. And water is going to be another topic in the next coming weeks, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, so water definitely helps manage stress because you're flushing your body for one, so you're helping the cortisol move, you're helping your digestion move. Like the more water you drink, the better your digestion is going to be because it literally keeps everything moving. The next one I have for you is actually what I do. I'm a coach. So another way to help manage your stress, hire a coach. I have a coach. I have several coaches, like it's one of those things that when you're talking with somebody, getting another perspective, and you're not just bouncing ideas off of each other, but the coach is actually there to help you move through whatever your stressful situation is. And this also goes in with therapy and any kind of therapy like that, like any kind of training like that. So find yourself a coach. I mean, if it's me, cool, I'll help you out. But that's really been super important for me. Just within the past 2 years that I've started this program, I've started my coaching program, my training, and I don't remember, I think we're coming up to a year that I've actually been with my personal coach. I think we started in June. And I hired her initially to help me bust through my grief. I lost my mom when I was 17, and I didn't realize how much that event was still affecting me on a daily day. So we had a discovery session, which is basically a initial consultation type session where we just talk, we have a conversation, and we see, where our client is at right in this present moment and where they want to be, and then the bridge to get there. And that's what I do too. I'm a health coach, I'm a life coach, I'm a transformational coach, and I'm around the corner from getting my certification as a mastery coach. So yeah, hiring a coach, hiring someone to help you through, life's challenges. And I work with children because kids get stressed too. I mean, they probably get more or, equal or more than us adults do. They're dealing with stresses just like us. And that's why I love working with kids, so I can help them through their stresses now. I can help them with their obstacles now so that they're not struggling with it at an adult age. So if you have any children or know any parents with children who might be struggling with physical health, emotional health, mental health, I'd love to connect and see how I can be of service. So yeah, definitely one of my top suggestions for managing stress, finding yourself a good coach, and really getting into the swing of habit change and working through your stresses with someone else. Because a lot of times we feel like we can do it all on our own. Transformation doesn't happen in isolation. One of my favorite women in the world says that. Her name is Stacey Morgenstern, and she is one of the co-founders of Health Coach Institute, where I go to school. So yeah, definitely coaching is up there. Another thing that we're going to dive into more later on as well, because it's kind of a heavy topic when it comes to gut health, and that's your diet. A lot of people don't really see how stress or emotional, mental ailments can be healed with diet and nutrition. So we're going to talk a lot about that. But for me, my diet is I'm gluten-free, dairy-free, artificial sugar-free lifestyle. So I have a whole foods lifestyle. And I believe I told my story on day one. So if you're interested in that, check out that video from day one. So yeah, definitely healthy diet rich in vegetables, fruits, high fiber carbs, because yes, carbs are important. And we're going to talk about that. That's going to be a long, that's going to be a long video. I might have to put it into two, the diet one, because that's really important. But anyway, so yeah, so that's tip number 4, diet and, a whole foods as much as you can lifestyle. And then the last one that has really been helping me a lot is meditation, which is really interesting because growing up, I couldn't meditate to save my life. I was so concerned with everything, like my brain was just constantly going, like, how am I going to sit here and meditate, close my brain off? Like, I had a really hard time doing that. And then when I got into, again, coaching school, and I had talked with so many coaches that were like, "Oh, you should try meditating. Oh, you should try meditating." And I'm like, guys, you're not going to convince me to meditate. But really, once you let go of the intention of trying to shut your brain down, like, I think that was my problem. I was trying to shut my brain down to the point where it was like, no, your brain's not going to shut down. So instead, I tried guided meditations on YouTube. There are so many guided meditations, and there's a few on Beachbody. If any of you are Beachbody customers or coaches, I'm a coach myself. There's some on there as well in the yoga studio. But guided meditations, even quick ones, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Put some headphones on and just listen. And you can be doing other things. You can be stretching. You can be, sometimes I'll do it driving, I'll just listen. Because really, meditation is all about boosting gratitude. And gratitude is a big practice of mine. That's what I base my whole practice on, is being grateful for what you have while holding the optimism for what you want. So gratitude and meditation for me go hand in hand, because when we meditate on what we have, and, like I said, guided meditations on gratitude are everywhere. And I could talk all day about meditation and gratitude, but I don't want to take up more and more of your time. So if you want any more information on gratitude and meditation, feel free to reach out to me. But that is definitely one for stress release. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, if you're in the car and you're stuck in traffic and you can, go to YouTube right quick on your phone, or save it on a playlist, and you can get to it right quick for that stress release when you're in traffic, I guarantee you that you will feel better after just 5 minutes. 5 minutes, that's all I'm asking. And this is coming from the one that couldn't meditate, again, to save her life. And now I use it as a daily practice. I'll throw on a meditation all throughout the day. So it's not just a morning thing. It's not just an evening thing. Meditate whenever you can, and put on that, the good vibe music whenever you can. So in review, managing stress, my top 5: exercise, getting your sweat and blood moving. Water, definitely stay hydrated. And I don't think I mentioned this before, but when it comes to water, you want to be drinking half of your body weight in ounces. So for me, I'm roughly 95 pounds. We'll call it 100 pounds, whatever, 90 pounds. So I would need at least 30 gallons of water. 30 gallons of water. Ounces of water. And this is 30 ounces of water. Like, I would need one of these. Like, I drink probably 3 of these at least a day. So water, water, water. Stay hydrated. Third tip, get yourself a coach. I can help you find a coach. I can see if I'm the right coach for you. If you're curious about coaching, reach out, because really, transformation doesn't happen unless you have help. Like, if you really, really need the extra boost and the extra help, like, don't be afraid to reach out. It is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength. And if you're overly stressed, it's really, really important to have an advocate, someone that is there for you whenever you need them, holds the highest vision of you if you can't see it for yourself yet. And really just, I can't even tell you how much coaching has changed my life and my anxiety and my stress levels on a daily basis. So number 3 is coaching. Number 4, healthy diet, whole foods, high fiber, veggies, all the fruit, all of it. None of that artificial stuff, none of that processed stuff. And again, this would be something I could help you with, transitioning to a whole foods lifestyle if that was something you're interested in. And then that last one, meditation and gratitude. Being so grateful for what you have, because there's always something to be grateful for. And look up some meditations, pop those earbuds in, and just take 5 minutes out of your day and see how it can transform you. So we talked a lot, and I really appreciate you guys for sticking with me, because I know it was a lot. And I invite you to experiment with some stress release techniques, whether you use one of mine that I've given, and I will put them in the comments so that it's easier to get to, so that you can see. And I just invite you to maybe Google, check out what other options there are out there, because if you Google stress release techniques, there's so many. So yes, I invite you to do that. And the other thing I invite you to do, if you're a parent or maybe you have a younger sister, brother, see where their level of stress is. If you're stressed out, chances are they're stressed out too. And remember, kids get stressed. Kids have the same issue, not same issues, but we all have brains, we all have guts, we all have hearts. Kids are just as affected as we are by stress. So take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, and I really hope that this was of value to you. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'll make sure my contact information is in the description and in the comments. And I just hope everybody has a fantastic Friday. It is beautiful out here in South Florida. Sun is shining. Another reason why I came outside, because it is just so gosh darn beautiful. So happy Friday, happy stress release weekend. Go and use everything that you've learned from Self-Love Week, from Self-Care Week, and now from Stress Release Week. And tune in next week, Thursday, remember, Thursday, for exercise. That might be a little bit of a longer video too. We'll see. But hope everybody has a great day, and I will see you all soon. Bye.